I'm going to give you a detailed analysis of why the U.S. government is responsible for the baby formula shortage the Biden bandits are now using as a prop to portray themselves as saviors. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV. The return date for sufficient baby formula product is unclear.
I don't have a timeline on that. I know, again, we want to make this happen quickly.
But what is clear is that those who interfere with or ordain themselves the overlords of what are supposed to be peaceful market transactions do so at our peril. And the very act of imposing themselves in our affairs is perniciously immoral. The reasons for the baby formula shortage are clear, and they all stem not only from the same poisonous garden as government-created fertilizer, gasoline, and steel shortages, but from additional government meddling and controls that have been targeted specifically at the baby formula market and to the benefit of both government growth and certain baby formula makers for decades. First, we have the unconstitutional federal subsidy for low-income mothers, the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infant, and Children, also known as WIC. As economists know, when political forces begin calling the shots in what should be private market choices, big players will attempt what's called rent seeking, using political connections to gain at the expense of competitors and consumers. As Abby Veselis writes for Time, quote, through state agencies, WIC gives families earning at or below 185% of the federal poverty line vouchers and electronic cards to purchase baby formula on the government's dime, your dime. In 1989, Congress, hoping to keep WIC's costs down, passed legislation requiring states to use competitive bidding to select one manufacturer of infant formula to be covered by WIC. And you got it, rent-seeking found. Quote, roughly half to two-thirds of formula purchased in the U.S. is bought through WIC, according to government estimates. With so many low-income parents relying on formula, the move by Congress led to the bid winners in each state dominating the formula market there. That spurred the kind of intense consolidation in the U.S. formula industry that has not been seen in many other parts of the world. Since the single contract rule was established more than 30 years ago, only 3 companies, Abbott, Gerber, and Mead Johnson, have received those WIC contracts. Their control over the market has disincentivized the creation of new brands, which is why the recent loss of Abbott's products from store shelves has left many parents with few alternatives. And the loss of Abbott? Well, the single Sturgis, Michigan plant where they recently had a problem highlights another immoral, constitution-insulting government imposition. Safety control powers claimed by the Food and Drug Administration. As Colin Lodewick writes for Yahoo Finance, quote, on February 17th, Abbott voluntarily recalled its Sturgis manufactured products and shut down the plant following reports that 4 infants fell ill from bacterial infection and 2 died after consuming formula produced in the plant. Of course, avoiding conclusions about potential cause and effect, Lodewick also notes, quote, the Chronobacter sakazaki that was found in environmental testing during the investigation was in non-product contact areas of the facility and has not been linked to any known infant illness, the company said in a statement. Lodewick reports that Abbott has held approximately 40% of the government-manipulated market for over 10 years. So this problem in a single plant puts a big strain on the already screwed up system. Candace Phelps of the Sturgis Journal reports that the FDA has magnanimously allowed the plant to reopen. Because, of course, FDA stands for Frequently Divine Agency. But it'll take 2 months before this okay from the gods on high sees any real change in supply on the shelves. But that's all right, because in modern America, we're supposed to look to all-powerful giver Joe Biden to swoop in, to take control, and treat us like babies under the absurd Defense Production Act. Okay, perhaps we could do some more digging and learn a few additional important points that offer lessons in government intervention, protectionism, and the way central planning always backfires. As Gabriel Beaumont-Smith writes for the Cato Institute, quote, "The United States subjects infant formula to tariffs up to 17.5% and tariff rate quotas. And absurdly, provisions were added to the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, to restrict imports of formula from Canada, supposedly because China was investing in a baby food plant in Ontario, and this new production might eventually enter the US market. Heaven forbid. Thus, the provisions in the USMCA's Agriculture Annex establish confusing and costly TRQs, those are the tariff rate quotas, on Canadian exports of infant formula. And the United States, get this, imported zero baby formula from Canada in 2021. Remember, all of those import restrictions benefit U.S. companies. They fall into the old canard of, we need to protect American jobs, all at the expense of American consumers who could pay less, have more money left over, and use that on other things to better their lives and employ more people. James Bovard covered the disastrous pain that U.S. tariffs cause consumers in his book, The Fair Trade Fraud. And he exposed how U.S. trade restrictions typically harm consumers 8 times more than the particular politically favored industry that they are supposed to help when the politicians impose them. I really want to make these government impositions clear. So let's return to Ms. Beaumont-Smith and find out more. Quote, making matters even worse, infant formula is subjected to onerous U.S. regulatory non-tariff barriers. For example, the FDA requires specific ingredients, labeling requirements, and mandates retailers wait at least 90 days before marketing a new infant formula. Therefore, if U.S. retailers wanted to source more formula from established trading partners like Mexico or Canada, the needs of parents cannot be quickly met because of these wait times. Businesses also have little incentive to go through the onerous regulatory process to sell to American retailers, given the aforementioned tariffs and the relatively short duration of the current crisis. The source of the problem is clear. While some critics might focus on the man in charge of the FDA, that being the bow-tie sporting commissioner, Robert Califf, such a focus misses the mark and does a disservice to the U.S. Constitution, which doesn't provide for anything remotely like an FDA, as well as doing a disservice to economic fundamentals and even moral principles. At this time of rhetorical target shooting, we can keep our eye on the real source of the problem. In a nation that's one of the richest on earth, parents right now are encountering a formula shortage because the government of this rich nation has adopted the central planning model of Soviet Russia. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I hope this has given you some good information that you can pass on to friends. Grab this video, send out the links to friends, and watch a couple times, take some notes, check out some of the information, And the hyperlinks are in my document at MRCTV.org as well, so you can check out some of these original sources. You can find us, of course, at MRCTV.org. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, our videos on YouTube. See you in the comments section. Please like and subscribe, and on Rumble, where they don't censor us. You can also find us on TikTok and Instagram. Remember Twitter. We'll see you on Twitter as well. And I'm on Twitter at Gard Goldsmith and on Gab as at Gardner Goldsmith. Thanks so much, everybody. Please keep this information in mind. Hopefully it's been interesting and perhaps give some information that you can pass around to people, because I think this is the type of thing that allows us to learn. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.